Straight lines, empty spaces, undone, out of patience, all because of me. It's been so wise, hiding places, still nights, endless waiting, in and out of sleep. Will it always be a mystery? Will there always be a missing part of me? Thinking back on all the things I couldn't see in front of me, a mystery.
Stop.
Whoops. That was pretty. Yeah.
Untold, never spoken, all because of me. Will it always be a mystery? Will there always be a missing part of me? Thinking back on all the things I couldn't see in front of me. Mystery.
Okay, so wanted to show this video of kind of what it was like to have to shoot these videos. Very unusual for us. So what I did was we set up the patterns, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks before we were supposed to film. And every time I'd ride, I would kind of work on it a little bit. Video, kind of see what it looked like from the video. You could see me working on the in-hand pattern with Chancla before I rode her. And what I do is I just kind of run through the pattern once, see maybe what we needed to work on, and then we would work on that. So I didn't want to keep doing the pattern over and over and over again because she's crazy smart and she memorizes stuff, and she would anticipate. So here we are trying a little technique where I wanted her to think that she has to stand right there, which worked out great. In our trail video, you could see I was able to get on her and she stood super quiet. Because we practiced that, even the standing we practiced. And then this trot off was super hard to get. We had to practice that a lot. So same thing with the trail. What I would do is I'd do kind of one run through, see where we were weak on, and then I'd work on that. Like, okay, we were struggling with trotting off from a standstill, so we worked on that. Her side pass wasn't so great, so we worked on that. Here, I really wanted to leg yield her through those cones. You could see that wasn't great. She started anticipating the lope off, so I turned around and did something else, or I would go left instead of right. And this is actually set up opposite of what we ended up filming because we found that our arena is sloped. And when we would come around the lope to break down to a trot to trot those poles, we were going downhill. And both of our horses were kind of struggling with slowing down there. So we actually flipped the whole course around. So by practicing filming like that, we were able to kind of get rid of those types of things. And then this was interesting. So this was the original video I was going to submit. We had started, our plan was to shoot videos a week before. So we do like one video a day since there's two of us. So we each have to film each other, which made it so we had to film 5 videos each, which is 10 videos total, which is a lot. And so on Saturday before these were due, it was super windy. There was a storm blowing in. And we tried to do trail and in hand, and we got Isidro's in hand, we got mine. And then because I'm obsessive, I started pouring over the rules, and I found out you can't use a stud chain. And I'm not using the stud chain over her nose or under her chin. I actually just hooked on just like a regular lead rope. Because it's a leather, lead rope. It's what the halter came with. And so I asked Mustang Heritage if this was allowed because we hadn't submitted videos yet. And thank goodness I asked because they said no. It would have cost me 2 points penalty per judge or something like that. So I had to reshoot that in-hand part. And then this was one of my trail classes, and I'm glad I went and watched it back because Isidro, I'm the film person, right? So it's my camera. So he accidentally hit some filter. I didn't even know how to get it off. It took me forever. I had to Google how to get this to turn off because there's this weird filter. You see the white, like foggy thingy around, and it's a pretty good trail round, but it just looks so blurry. I didn't want to submit that. And then this one was funny. I'd walked too close to the camera, and Isidro was telling me, back up, you're too close. Because I had kind of a zoom lens on this camera. And so I thought that was kind of funny, so I threw that in there. And then, of course, it's super windy, so my hat's blowing off. My hat blew off a couple of times. I'd start having a really good round, and then my hat would start blowing off, and it would distract me so bad that I'd have to stop and restart. That was kind of funny. Isidro forgot there was a cone there. So I just kind of do a little bit of like kind of oops outtakes. And this one was like, oops, past the cone. Let's do that over again. And so it was just like little stuff like that would happen. And then so here's another day, the next week, it snowed for 2 days. Couldn't use our arena. So we missed 3 days of possible shooting that we were going to have. And so here I bring her out. She's been wearing a blanket with like a sleazy to keep her clean because her pen is a pile of mud. And I was like, what is wrong with her today? She was super pissy, swishing her tail. I even say that. See all that tail swishing? So she's like trying really hard and doing all this stuff, but she's kind of irritated and pissy and swishing her tail. And so I was like, okay, what is wrong with her? And then it finally dawned on me. I always curry her and brush her really good. And I didn't want to stir up all the dust and dirt that was still on her because it's too cold to wash her again. And so I didn't do that, and that was my bad. So I ended up just scrapping that day, and I shot it again the next day after I gave her a really good curry and scratched her all over, and she was way happier. So it's really important, I think, to just pay attention to your horse. And like, my horse is not pissy. She's more than happy to do what I ask of her, and I just really pay attention to her body language and how she's feeling. And once I fixed that, then I had a great round that made me tie for first place. So really happy with, I had to reshoot it, end up with a better round anyways. So this one is just heartbreaking because this was Isidro's very first time riding the pattern, and I'm filming, and Pantera is looking super, she's just a hot forward horse. So she's looking relaxed, and she's listening and quiet, and her collection is beautiful. And she does this really nice little flying lead change right here. Super even, perfect on both sides. And I'm like sitting here watching this going, yes, I'm so excited. She looks so good. And Isidro had been working on that, and he stops, nice little stop. And then he forgets the rest of the pattern. And I'm like trying to tell him and give him direction. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh man, I totally forgot the rest. So we had to reshoot it. And she never gave us a better flying lead change after that. So she was always late behind, so I wanted to show that off because it was such a pretty lead change. Here we are on the last day. We're able to film because we missed, like I said, 3 days of filming from our weather, and it made the arena unusable. And so we're setting up our freestyles. We reserved a whole day to shoot freestyles, and the whole setup, it took forever too.
The little one more nerviosa.
What's the matter, guys? Okay, so this was the first freestyle that I shot, and in hindsight, I kind of wish that I had submitted this video. So this is what it was supposed to look like, her little trick where she swings her butt around. And I hadn't seen anybody, I've seen people do a spin, but not quite that before. And then like she does her great little side pass up to pick me up there, better than the video I ended up submitting. And I didn't submit this video because I was so afraid that I was going to get dinged Isidro kind of misses me there because he didn't know what my freestyle was. And so I get out of frame and I was so worried that they were going to dock me for getting out of frame. And so I had to mute the music here because otherwise I'll get dinged for copyright. And I just think that, I mean, overall this freestyle is better. It was really to the music. The other one, I was kind of behind on the music a little bit. And so this one was much more on, with the music. And so see here, he kind of loses me out of frame. And I really wish I had just gone ahead and submit. I mean, hindsight is 2020 because the winner went out of frame a bunch of times and he didn't get penalized. So now hindsight, I'm like, shoot, I should have just submitted it. Because it's only like a second out of frame, and that's what he did too. He was like maybe a second out of frame. And those two barrels, I have some piñatas on there, and I was gonna back through them. See, and I threw a back in there and a little roll back, and I mean all those would have gotten me more points. I did the lay down a little bit different here, where I actually took her saddle off, and it's so funny because it takes like 10 seconds to take a saddle. I swear to God, it takes an hour to take a saddle off in a freestyle. I don't know what is up with that, but it seems like it takes an hour. So I got her saddle off, and look how amazing she is. She just stands there. She's such a good girl. And I got her bridle off, and I don't even know if they would have accepted that because I didn't really show the bit there. And then this is how she lays down. This is how awesome she actually normally lays down. And what was really weird is she sits up really, really well. And I don't know why in this arena she didn't want to sit up. She was slipping though. So maybe that's something to do with it. But she normally kind of sits up right here. And so, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I should have submitted this video instead of the other one. But I thought I couldn't because I got out of frame. So, because this one was a little bit more polished looking, I think. But she's so awesome. She's such a good girl. So proud of her. So I'll upload the actual freestyle videos that we submitted on up here on YouTube with the audio later. So hopefully we won't have an issue. I just can't monetize it because of the music. And so here is Isidro's first freestyle run. He ended up doing 3 that we videoed. And it's so funny because she decided that she was going to be, she realized I don't know, she'd already been over that darn jump a bunch of times and she decided right then she didn't want to go over it. So that's why we didn't pick this one because the jump and the bridge wasn't as nice. But he did some really, really cool stuff that I wish everybody, I want everybody to see, which is kind of why I put this video on. And by the last video, she was just done, so he stopped doing as much because she was just getting fried. Because she does really, really cool lead changes. And here he was kind of he did some tempi changes right there. And they were kind of cute, and she was struggling a little bit, but I was like, oh, that's cool. But then we couldn't use this one because of what happens next, because he had been practicing popping these dark balloons a lot. And then today it was windy and she was feeling fresh. And so she decided to spook at the darn balloons being popped, and that kind of messed her up a little bit. And she does a nice little lead change right here. And that would have been so nice. And his freestyle probably would have got him way more points. And I just feel so bad because I think he would have finished a lot higher if we had maybe submitted this one. She does a pretty decent little, turn. It's hard because he's riding one-handed in a hackamore, which should be two-handed, because he's trying to hold this little spear up that we made. We made out of a oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. So here we missed that one. See, she was like, no, don't pop the balloon. She decided that she did not like the balloons being popped anymore. And then so this would have, he kind of went out of our little makeshift arena, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if they would ding him for that. Because I mean it's an arena we kind of created because out of our bigger arena, because our arena's just too big for this. And so that's why we didn't submit it, because I was like, oh, I don't want them to like, penalize him for missing that. But now I'm like, maybe I should have, because he did so much more stuff in this one than he did in the video that we submitted. Okay, so it's like, so playing pool, is that a cue, the wooden pole that you use to play pool? So that's what he's using. And he made a spear out of it, because I'm like, we couldn't find a spear. So that worked really, really good. He even got a little back in. I mean, he did a lot more stuff in this one than he did in the other one. Although he did get a better turn on this. And the second round that he did was also excellent, and I totally messed up, and I was so excited I stopped recording to tell him how good it was, but I needed to continue recording so he could show his bit, so we couldn't use that one. It felt so bad.
Alright, we have to wait. Thank you for your service. From the bottom of our hearts.
Okay, we'll do it again.
All right, so just wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you for your service. So this is what we're going to say first. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you for your service. We have to wait, and then from the bottom of our hearts. From the bottom of our hearts. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. From the bottom of our hearts.